Your food choices impact climate change as well. Let that sink in for a bit. It turns out what's on our plates may be fueling a crisis of global proportions. A recent study says that the food we consume is responsible for 1/3 of all human-made greenhouse gas emissions. As our planet faces climate crisis, it's not just cars and factories emitting harmful gases. The study points fingers at beef and dairy consumption, particularly in rapidly developing nations like China and India. They're the top contributors to rising emissions within our food supply chains. These animal-based products are contributing to 95% of emissions rise over the past 2 decades. Now, as the world's population is projected to reach 9.1 billion by 2050, our global food demand is skyrocketing. By 2050, we will need 70% more food to feed everyone. But meeting this demand using our current diets would only exacerbate climate change, the effects of which the entire world is seeing. Now, in 2019, the 5 highest emitting countries, China, India, Indonesia, Brazil and the US, were responsible for over 40% of global food supply chain emissions. On the other hand, grains, oil crops and palm oil also play significant roles in food-related emissions. Rice, for instance, contributes to over half of global grain-related emissions. This especially from Indonesia, China and India. Meanwhile, we must also rethink how we trade in food. Even trade policies can accelerate emissions by increasing food imports. This comes particularly from countries with emission-intensive farming practices. Now, what could be the possible solution for this? A global shift in diets, that is what is needed. This means reducing excessive beef intake and embracing more plant-based proteins. It's not just about saving the planet, it's also about avoiding health risks like obesity and heart disease. As we've seen, our food choices have a profound impact on climate change. Small changes in diets like reducing red meat consumption and choosing foods with lower environmental footprints can collectively make a big difference in our battle against climate change.